let's talk about trimming our cylinders. These are now leather hard, so they feel like leather. They look like leather. You can put your nail into the form and it creates this really clean line. This is the perfect time for carving your pot if that's the kind of surface you're interested in. So each one of these I'm going to trim a different foot on so you can see how to do that. What you will need for trimming and finishing your feet are your trim tools that came in your kit. If these are the ones you're using, you have your large loop tool and you have your double-tipped fine tool that has a squared off edge and a rounded loop end. So this tool is also really good just to start off carving the surface, and if you like that, then you can maybe invest in some other kinds of carving sculpture tools. Now, if you want on your class tool list, I will list some other kinds of trim tools that I think are better than the ones that come in the beginner toolkit. These are Dolan, but Kemper also makes really, really nice trim tools, and it's because of the type of metal that's used, they never dull. So look for those and try to order those tools, and they will last longer. You will also need some type of a rib. I really like the rubber rib for finishing. And a ball. You can have a tennis ball. This is a racket ball. So you need that also. You should not need your wire at this point, but if you still have a pot that's stuck on the wheel, on the bat head, you will need to cut it off, and it may end up wanting to stick in it. It will be very difficult to cut off at this point once it becomes leather hard. So the best way to do that is to put it back on the wheel head and then rotate the wheel and cut it off. Now you will find a lot of resistance because you're not cutting into soft clay, you're cutting into leather hard clay. So it will be difficult to get off, and you may end up getting an uneven cut at the bottom. So try to make sure that you always get those cut off of the wheel head when it's soft, leather hard, or wet. Even when you do cut off wet, sometimes you have to go back and cut off again when it's soft leather hard. Okay, so these were cut off when they were soft leather hard, and then I put them onto a wooden wear board, and then I covered them with plastic really tight overnight. The wood absorbs moisture out of the bottom of the cup, so that way the bottom dries the same consistency as the rim. If your rim becomes bone dry and the bottom of your pot is still wet, you can't flip it over and trim it. If you do, you may end up collapsing the bottom. So we need to make sure that the rim and the bottom are the same consistency at all times. If your rim gets to become bone dry, or it starts changing color, you can take a bucket of water or a bowl of water and just dip the rim like so and put everything back onto your wear board, cover with plastic. Okay, so let's begin. Here I have my stein that I produced, and this has a flat bottom. I'm not going to be doing a lot of trimming here, but it does need cleaned up, okay? And what that means is there's some clay burrs and little bits of clay that left the bat and stuck to the bottom here, so I need to smooth that because it will scratch the furniture after you're done firing it later. We also want to clean up this edge. So we're going to tap it on center, so when the pot comes around, we take our hand back and then meet and tap on center. So as the pot comes around and it's out of center right here, my hand pulls back and meets it right here. Some people use their knuckle, but I prefer using my whole hand, and I keep my hand on the top here so that it won't fly off. You're really looking to center the rim. If you center the bottom and it wasn't cut off correctly with your wooden knife, then you may end up trimming the bottom center, but it won't match the top, so your pot will be a little crooked. Now, another way to center is if the pot comes around, draw a little line. Obviously, this is really out of center, but just to show you, there's a large amount of clay here, distance-wise, between the circle I drew and the outside of the pot, and then if you match that, obviously there's less clay here between the circle I drew and the outside of the pot. So you move it toward the lesser side of that circle. Now, you can continue to keep drawing circles and trying to push it toward where the width is smaller until it becomes centered. Another way that people center is to take their finger and just hold it. Of course, I'm doing this in front of me, but hold the finger out, and then when it bumps you, push it. Bumps your finger, push it. This is a really slow method of tapping on center. Eventually you will get the pot centered. You have to keep stopping your wheel. Oh. So that's another method. I really want you guys to learn to tap on center, so you need to practice that every day, okay?